Already, we've made it through 3 quarters of 2025. And to be honest with you, a lot of cars collectors feel about this, but 2025 has not been that great of a year in terms of collecting Disney Cars diecasts. Mainly because the distribution hasn't been that great and it's been very slow, and it's harder and harder to find new cars on the shelves in the stores. I think we've had somewhat of a similar issue happened back in 2018, and I think the reason why that the distribution is kind of slow right now, it's because that next year that the production of Disney Cars diecasts are returning back to China, kind of like back in 2018 when they did the same thing when they switched production from China to Thailand. Well, we're kind of experiencing a similar experience with the distribution again, switching production from one country to another. So I would say that the year 2026 ought to be a very interesting year for collecting. So the reason behind the shift in production is primarily because of the tariff situation. Like back in 2018, the reason Mattel switched production to Thailand was to avoid costly tariffs on products imported from China. Mattel is increasing production in other markets like Thailand and serving the US market from those locations. Also, there's a supply chain diversification, meaning reducing dependence on any single country and prevent bottlenecks. Mattel has been diversifying its manufacturing footprint since 2018. So as of today, you may wonder why that Mattel is shifting back to China in 2026. Well, here's the answer to that question. So apparently Mattel is not shifting production back to China from Thailand. Rather, they are diversifying their manufacturing footprint to include China and other low-cost regions, moving away from a single country reliance to mitigate risks and reduce costs associated with trade tensions and tariffs. This includes reducing China's overall share of production, not increasing it, as part of a larger strategy to optimize their supply chain and ensure a more balanced manufacturing base for brands like Disney Cars. So basically, the reason why that the Disney Cars industry is not as good as it was here in 2025 is because there's a shift in production underway. As we're moving towards the end of 2025, in preparation for the 2026 Cars diecast mainline, Mattel is moving Disney Cars diecast production back to China from Thailand for the 2026 mainline because the machinery has simply been relocated and the manufacturing process, including the use of inkjet technology, is expected to be identical, resulting in no significant change to the car's appearance or quality. This move doesn't represent a fundamental shift in production quality, but a return to the country where the line initially began, which is now utilizing the same advanced technology as recent Thai production. Okay, so let's kind of break it down a bit. So the key points are: 1. Relocation, not a new process. The change from Thailand to China is primarily a physical relocation of the existing machinery and production line. Second is identical technology. Both the previous and new Chinese production will utilize inkjet technology, the one that they've used in Thailand for nearly 8 years, which was introduced in mid-2018 and is not country dependent. So this means that in the year 2026, the new Chinese-made die-cast models will be exactly the same as the previous Thailand-made versions, because both will now have been made with the same inkjet technology that they used in Thailand for the last 8 years. And starting this next year and years forward, there won't be any more comparison or difference as to which country of origin each die-cast character car was made from. So what do you think about that? It's definitely going to be a big change, especially for all of us, including myself as a collector. So a lot of you, including myself, have noticed that back in 2018, when the Disney Cars die-cast production shifted from China to Thailand, there were noticeable changes in quality. Thailand-produced cars often had blurrier, less detailed decals, and a glossier finish, according to one analysis. The recent shift is not a return to China, but rather a return to the higher quality and detail associated with the original Chinese production methods, as noted by a deep analysis of the lines. The tariff risks are likely the reason why that Mattel shifted their Cars production from China to Thailand back in 2018, because there is a risk of increased U.S. duties on Chinese goods, which could significantly raise toy prices for consumers. Also, there was a risk mitigation, meaning companies were looking to de-risk their supply chains by reducing reliance on China, according to Reuters. Very strange that Mattel is shifting their production back to China for the 2026 Cars die-cast mainline. So what's the big deal here? So according to my search results on Google, the answer is that Mattel is shifting Disney Cars die-cast production from Thailand back to China for 2026, not due to differences in the manufacturing process or country of origin, but likely to align with the expiration of an agreement with a Chinese vendor. While production moved to Thailand in 2018, resulting in different paint and decal techniques at the time, the new China-produced cars are using the same inkjet technology as the recent Thailand-made versions. Therefore, this isn't a production quality shift, but a logistical move, with the machinery simply relocating to the new China factory. Okay, so now let's break this down. So the key takeaways is that there's no change in quality or process. The move back to China in 2026 is anticipated to use the same modern inkjet technology as the previously Thailand-made cars, so there won't be a significant change in the quality or look of the cars. Hence why in 2026 that both previous Thailand cars and new Chinese cars will all look the same, and we will no longer be able to tell the difference as to which country they were made in. This change is more for logistical and not strategic reasons. The shift isn't about improving quality or a response to tariffs, but rather a likely outcome of a vendor agreement. Also, we have past versus present. The previous shift from China to Thailand in 2018 did lead to noticeable changes in car appearance, but the upcoming return to China is different, with the manufacturing process remaining consistent. Also, there is a new partnership, because apparently Mattel has renewed its licensing agreement with Disney, which may have influenced this change in production location for the Disney Cars diecast line, which may have also contributed to the downfall of Disney Cars distribution and lack of new stock in the stores. So hopefully 2026 will be a big change. So without further said, I hope that this will be the change that Mattel will give us in 2026. A good change to the Disney Cars distribution and return the supply of new inventory back to the way it was years ago during the golden age of cars collecting. So hopefully 2026 will be a good year for collecting because it'll be the 20th year anniversary of the original Cars movie, and it's a significant milestone and a high point year that is worth celebrating. So, anyways, I hope you all understand what I'm saying about what is going on with the Disney Cars diecast distribution. Maybe the lack of new inventory in 2025 is just part of this shift in production, kind of like what we've seen in 2018. So there is somewhat of a promising feeling that the Disney Cars distribution will be better next year.